Our club's always been a forum for visionaries, public figures, and decision makers to command attention to the issues of our time and inform the most relevant, compelling, and challenging conversations. Here we offer first-person access to dynamic political, business, and public personality.
The Canadian Club is one of the most important podiums anywhere in the world that a Canadian can speak to, tell Canadians what it is that they think, develop those thoughts. And so I want to thank you for that very, very much.
Please join me in thanking our esteemed panelists today.
Through our programs and events, including our youth and young leaders programs, our diversity partnerships, our joint events, and our media and social media opportunities, we offer you access to dynamic political, social, and business figures from abroad and right here at home.
The platform from which the eloquence of Canada has flowed all of that time, whether it be business, education, politics, sports, arts, and culture. If someone wants to say something to Canadians about this country and about the future of this country, this is the venue you choose.
Good evening, and welcome everybody to our annual Pride Month event. We appreciate you joining us online and in person at the EY office, and we're so glad to have everybody here. My name is Glenn Parkinson, President of Canadian Club Toronto, and your host this evening. We're meeting here in Takaronto, now known as Toronto, which in Mohawk means where there are trees standing in the water. Takaronto is covered under Treaty 13 and the Williams Treaties, and it's the traditional territory of many First Peoples. Being on this land together makes us all responsible for upholding these treaties, which were entered into for as long as the grass grows, the sun shines, and waters flow. Rainbow Railroad was founded 18 years ago as a volunteer-run organization by 2S LGBTQI plus activists and human rights defenders to address levels of violence and persecution that members of the community face worldwide. Globally, more than 120 million people are displaced because of persecution, conflict, violence, and human rights abuses. And queer and trans refugees are particularly vulnerable, specifically and often due to state-sponsored homophobia and transphobia. Today, more than 60 countries criminalize same-sex intimacy, and 14 specifically criminalize trans people for their gender identities and expressions. In Canada and the United States, Rainbow Railroad is doing heroic work to address the persecution of these communities, and tonight we're proud to hear more from the organization, Rainbow Railroad, what's being done, and what more we can do. I'd like to acknowledge our season sponsor, Canadian Bankers Association, our official airline partner, Air Canada, and Canada's Forest Trust, who partners with us to reduce the carbon impact of our entire season. So thank you, Canadian Bankers Association, for supporting us. And as well as our season-long partners, each event we put on has sponsors as well, and tonight we are sponsored by TD and EY, so thank you both. Now, before we hear from our friends at Rainbow Railroad, we have a special Pride treat, a performance by Boy Band. Fresh from their Pride Niagara performance, Boy Band is a trio consisting of Alex Pollard, Little MC Momo, and Elijah Harper. So, can I welcome Boy Band to the front to perform for us today?
Make some noise, y'all. Let's hear you. Y'all having fun? Period. Hey.
The race is on to get out of the bottom. The top is high, so your roots are forgotten.
Giving is good as long as you're getting.
What's driving you is ambition, I'm better.
I said,
who do you think you are? I said, who? Some kind of superstar. You have got to swing it, shake it, move it, make it. Who do you think you are? Trust it, use it, prove it, groove it. Show me how good you are. Swing and shake it, move it, make it. Who do you think you are? Trust it, use it, prove it, groove it. Show how good you are.
woo, baby. Let's vogue.
Come on, Vogue. Let your body groove to the music. Hey, 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 come on, Vogue. Let your body go with the flow. You know you can do it.
Vogue.
Greta Garbo and Monroe, Dietrich and DiMaggio, Marlon Brando, Jimmy Dean, on the cover of a magazine.
Grace Kelly, Harlow Jane, picture of a beauty queen. G. Estelle, Fred Estelle, Ginger Rogers dance on air.
They had style, they had grace. Rita Hayworth gave good face. Lauren Catherine Lana too. Betty Davis, we love you. Ladies with an attitude. Fellas that were in the mood. Don't just stand there, let's get to it. Strike a pose, there's nothing to it. Come on, Vogue. Let your body groove to the music. Hey, 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 come on, Vogue. Let your body go with the flow. You know you can do it. Come on, Vogue.
Can you clap for us?
Let's go. Let your body groove to the music. Hey, 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 come on, Vogue.
Yes.
Let your body go with the flow. You know you can do it, Vogue.
Woo, baby.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing. How did you enjoy that?
Yes. We're just gonna move this real quick, shall we?
Yeah, we'll move this.
Come on, big boy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pull it back.
Pull it back. Oh, okay.
Sorry, we're trapping you.
It's okay. I like it a little tight. No, bring it closer.
little.
Yes. Just trap me.
Okay.
Okay, watch this.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing.
Halle Berry, Catwoman. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so we are a boy band, but it's spelled B-O-I-B-N-D. It's a little bit different. We want to be different. And we are kind of the first and only all queer, all BIPOC boy band in the world.
Yes.
We have been together for just over a year now. We have one single that's out, and we're actually in the process of recording 3 new singles that will be out in the fall for our EP, which is really exciting. And we actually all have our own little personas, so you can meet the boys, starting with Elijah.
Hey, I'm Elijah. I'm big boy. I bring the height in the group.
The height and the muscles. I am Bougie Boy, and my real name is Alex. But I love a label, I love designer, so that's why I'm Bougie Boy.
Oh, goodness. I'm Momo, a.k.a. Little MC Momo, and my persona, my boy band name is Bad Boy. And
you tell?
no explanation needed, okay? You're gonna find out why.
Yes. So what's exciting is that we are going to perform one of our other original songs that's not out yet.
A little unreleased goodie for y'all.
Yes. So it's called Casually, and we hope you enjoy it.
All right.
Once upon a time I used to know somebody, couldn't keep his hands off of me. Midnight meeting in the hotel lobby, making sure that nobody sees.
We would keep it up until he got sloppy. Saw a charge on the credit card.
We were pretending that we never met, but he can't decline his heart. So you wanna go,
Leave me just like this, begging for your kiss.
but we both know that you can't resist what you know you'll miss. Now you wanna go,
Leave me just like this, begging for your kiss.
but we both know that you can't resist what you know you'll miss. Try to let it go, try to let it be, try to keep it deep down in my fantasy. Try to let it go, try to let it be, we'll be over eventually. Then you'll say you'll come my way, that you'll leave her and me, babe. But I never know what it's gonna be, so I'm loving you casually. Met him at a smoky bar, didn't think we'd take it this far.
Bag is packed and he left his keys, now he's gonna take care of me.
Him and I had it all sorted out now, I'm the one he can't live without. Calls and says that he cannot leave, but he can't keep his hands off me.
Leave me just like this, begging for your kiss.
But we both know that you can't resist what you know you'll miss. Now you wanna go,
Leave me just like this, begging for your kiss.
but we both know that you can't resist what you know you'll miss.
Try to let it go, try to let it be, try to keep it deep down in my fantasy. Try to let it go, try to let it be, we'll be over eventually. Then you'll say you'll come my way, that you'll leave her and me, babe. But I never know what it's gonna be, so I'm loving you casually.
Now you wanna go,
Leave me just like this, begging for your kiss.
but we both know that you can't resist what you know you'll miss. Now you wanna go,
Leave me just like this, begging for your kiss.
but we both know that you can't resist what you know you'll miss.
Try to let it go, try to let it be, try to keep it deep down in my fantasy. Try to let it go, try to let it be, we'll be over eventually. Then you'll say you'll come my way, that you'll leave her and me, babe. But I never know what it's gonna be, so I'm loving you casually.
It's hot in here.
Somebody turn on the AC. Somebody tell EY turn that AC. Thank you. Woo.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's our next single that's unreleased. You got a little sneak
Yes.
peek. So it's Pride. Yay!
Happy Pride. Be who you are for your pride. Yes. All right.
Yeah, it's super important for us. I mean, as a group, breaking boundaries. We're all queer men of color, which is a whole struggle in itself. And we dance in heels. And we're like, you know, break the gender norms and we challenge it. And, you know, that's what we should be doing in 2024.
Yes. Can we actually get some snaps for that one, please? Thank you, Mama.
So-
Yeah, she got her snap way up high. Thank you.
So for me, I grew up as a little boy dancing and singing around my mom's living room with her high heels and tights on. So for me, this is a big part of honoring that little kid who just loved to perform and dance and be loud. So I think back to my first Pride actually with my mom and my grandmother. If you can believe it, I was 10 years old. I love to say that moms, sometimes they just know.
They know. They definitely know.
She used to say, whether you're in love with a man or a woman, just make sure you use protection.
Period.
I always used to, in my mind, I was like, oh man, why did she have to say man? Like, she knows. But in hindsight, it was the greatest thing. I knew that I had her unconditional love when I came out. So I think the story I'm trying to get at here is don't forget to tell people that you love them in your own special way. It could mean the world to someone's mental health and well-being in the future. So reach out to someone, just tell them that your love for them is unconditional. And this is what Pride Month's all about, honoring who you really are and putting your best heel forward.
I know that's right. Yes, big boy. That's so cute. Mm-hmm. Oh, me? Okay. Well, I grew up as like such an Arab boy in like an Arab Muslim household. So struggle bus for the queer boy in the house, woo. But, as we grow older, we gain that confidence with the support of like our chosen family, with the support of our community and the allies of our community. So again, like, I feel like it's so easy to say like, oh, we would support you, we're an ally, but it's harder to vocalize it. So just know that you have the confidence to be there for somebody and to be there for yourself first, to uplift. And no matter who they are, where they come from, we're all on this planet together, and we need to take care of it together because this planet's not really doing so good right now.
It's not doing well at all.
Yeah. So that's not going to take one of us. It's not going to take one community. It's going to take all of us. So shout out to y'all for being here, being a part of the change, being a part of the support, and give yourself some snaps, please. Yes, music to my ears.
Yes, I mean, for me, I'm Indo-Caribbean, which is, very interesting because it's super frowned upon. If I went back, I would get stoned, even now. So I just don't go. But that makes me realize, like, I'm so lucky to be here in a country that is super open for the most part. Taking some steps backwards. But, I'm super lucky to be here. My parents are awesome. And I think it's just important to, remind yourselves to just live how you want to live and express yourself fully because we only have one life and you don't want to suppress anything that you want to express. I just think it's really important to live your truth. And that's what I did. And I'm super grateful that I did that because I'm here now. So, yeah, it's exciting. And I'm here with these guys. And it means a lot. So thank you all.
Amen. Can we move this there? Is that possible? Yeah.
Move it out of the way.
Because this next number, baby, I don't think y'all are
need
ready
space.
for it. Are you ready for the next number, our final number? I'm just pretending like I'm carrying it. I'm not really
He was
lifting.
not.
I wasn't really lifting. He got the muscles, it's fine.
This is our debut track. It's called Make You Go Oh, which we hope that you will.
Yeah.
They should.
They
You
should.
know what?
Okay,
Yeah.
you know what? We're gonna do we're gonna involve you in our performance, okay? So our chorus, like Alex said, this is our debut single. We released it almost a year ago, which is crazy to think. It's available everywhere for streaming, wherever you stream your music or podcasts. Stream Make You Go Oh, okay? So our chorus goes, let me break it down for you now. I'm gonna show you how, show you now. Let me break it down for you now. I got the beat that make you go, oh. Oh, yes.
Exactly.
So, once we sing it and we go, I got the beat that make you go, oh, we want y'all to join in on us. Girl, happy Pride. Woo!
Yes.
Can you tell I'm single? Okay. Lord. I want y'all to join us while we say oh, okay? So we're gonna practice that. We're gonna go, I got the beat that make you go.
But with more like energy.
Yeah. Not like you're asking a question and you got the answer that you didn't want. Oh.
You have permission.
No, like from here. Oh, I got the beat that make you go.
Yes,
Mama.
All right, I love
She-
That's what's up.
Put your body into
The urgency.
it. Yes.
That's what we're looking for.
Okay. So let's
Here we
do
go.
it. Let's do it.
Let's make you go oh.
Period.
Ooh, yeah.
You know who it be? It's BB.
I see you trying to talk to me. Keep telling me how it's supposed to be. Here's how it's about to go. Gonna write it out, type it out, read it out slow.
Don't wanna give into your way. Never listen to what I gotta say. Here's what you need to know.
Gonna write it out, type it out, bust it down low. Holding me back against the wall.
You love to watch me fall.
I'm standing here, I can hold my own. Gonna show you up, shut you up, turn it up.
Come on.
Let me break it down for you now. I'ma show you how, show you how, show you now. Let me break it down for you now. I got the beat that make you go. Let me break it down for you now. I'ma show you how, show you how, show you now. Let me break it down for you now. I got the beat that make you go.
I'm not your toy playing your game. I won't let you manipulate. Standing up here on my throne.
Gonna write it up, stick it up, twist it down low.
I'm a stick to who I've always been. I'm comfortable, I love my skin. Staying true to what I know.
Gonna write it out, type it up, sit down low.
Holding me back against the wall.
You love to watch me fall.
I'm standing here, I can hold my own. Gonna show you up, shut you up, turn it up.
Come on.
Let me break it down for you now. I'ma show you how, show you how, show you now. Let me break it down for you now. I got the beat that make you go. Let me break it down for you now. I'ma show you how, show you how, show you now. Let me break it down for you now. I got the beat that make you go. Oh.
We gonna show you right now. This is BB, boy. We keep it tight, we keep it real. You don't like it? Keep it moving.
Let me know if you feel my flow and turn it up to the speakers blow. Show my style cause you like that glow. It's the beat that make you go, make you go.
Let me break it down for you now. I'ma show you how, show you how, show you now. Let me break it down for you now.
I got the beat that make you go, oh. Let me break it down for you now. I'ma show you how, show you how, show you now. Let me break it down for you now.
I got the beat that make you go, oh. We gonna show you right now, baby. There's no way we gonna let you push us up against this wall.
I got the beat that make you go, oh.
Make some noise, y'all. Thank you for having us.
I got the beat that make you go, oh.
Baby.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Thank you, y'all. It's honestly such an honor to be here. Thank you for including us. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being a part of the community, no matter which community you are. Big up to you. Shout out. If you guys want to stay on our journey with us and follow us, our Instagram is boybandofficial. Not B-O-Y, but B-O-I-B-N-D official, because we different. All right? And what else we got planned this summer?
Oh, you can also catch us at Toronto Pride on the Saturday on Brownout. That's the OLG stage. We'll be there. And Vancouver Pride, we're opening for some really awesome Canadian artists. So if you're in Vancouver, first weekend of August, we'll be there.
Yes, that's Canada Pride in
Yeah, it's a big
Vancouver. We're opening for Rev.
And
Do y'all know
Lucala.
Rev? Oh my God, y'all need to get into Rev, baby. She's also queer. She's one of the most recent and top Canadian platinum, multi-platinum singers. Yeah, she's rep by Universal Music Canada. So let's support Canadian talent. Yes. Period.
Yes, and yeah, we're dropping some new music over the next couple months, so we'll definitely be posting that. If you're following along, you'll see everything, plus our visuals. And yeah, once again, thank you for being here, for giving us your energy. Thank you to the Canadian Club for having us as well. Let's give them a round of applause. And we wish you all...
Make it clap. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's my girl right there in the bag. She be laughing at
into
all the
it.
jokes.
Yeah,
She be getting all
come
the.
on.
That's the hip girl at the office. Shout out to you. That's the millennial right there. Thank you, mama.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And most importantly, happy Pride. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Period. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
right, yes. Thank you. One more time for boy band. What a way to start. I'm not sure that it's fair that I have to follow that act. I mean, I don't even get comments on my stage presence at the best of times, so I'm pretty sure I don't think I can do any of that, and I won't do a naked clap when I introduce our next speaker. We've been hosting our Pride event for years and years, and for several of these years, we have had the support of the Canadian Bankers Association. So, and over the last 2 years, we have had them as a season sponsor. They support our entire season from September to June, and we're so grateful to have that partnership with them. I would like to ask the President and CEO of Canadian Bankers Association, Anthony Osler, to come and introduce our panel. Anthony.
Thanks, Glenn, and happy Pride, everyone. Isn't that an exciting way to start the evening? It's incredible. I love this event. It's my favorite event of the year. It's always interesting because it's towards the end of the Canadian Club season, but it's a great way to peak at such an energetic and positive event. So obviously, good evening, everyone, and bonsoir à toutes et à tous. Thank you to the Canadian Club of Toronto for putting this event together. This Pride Month and always, Canada's banks are proud to stand with the two LGBTQI plus communities. Les banques canadiennes sont résolues à promouvoir l'égalité pour tous et à créer un milieu où chacun de nous peut être authentiquement soi-même. Sorry, I'm working on my French, but it's important to be authentic. The CBA and our member banks are proud to be allies and to join the work in continuing the march towards equity. Our member banks employ almost 300,000 people in this country and work to support each of those workers to feel comfortable showing up to work as their true selves. For many years, significant work by Canada's banks has gone into identifying and eliminating barriers where they exist for diverse populations, accelerating the diversity of underrepresented groups at all ranks, including members of the 2SL LGBTQI plus community. Banking is fundamentally a relationship business. How we treat people matters. And when we advocate for each other and treat each other with respect and dignity, we rise together. As we talk about the work done to advance the rights and opportunities for members of the Pride community, we also have to talk about the work still ahead. Today, more than 114 million individuals have been forcibly displaced worldwide as a result of persecution, conflict, violence, human rights violations, and climate disasters. Of that displacement, queer and trans refugees are uniquely vulnerable due to state-sponsored homophobia and transphobia. It's a real tragedy. Still today, more than 60 countries criminalize same-sex intimacy, and 14 specifically criminalize trans people for their gender identities and expressions. Some of you may know this, but my wife and I have 2 trans daughters, and we have directly seen the impact anti-trans rhetoric and policies has on trans individuals. We returned to Canada after many years in the US as we felt the environment had changed, and Canada was the better place for children like ours. While we must protect what makes this country so special, our tolerance, accommodation, and respect for human rights, we also need to support those in countries that don't have a similar sense of security. Nous célébrons les gains en matière de droits et d'opportunités de la communauté. Mais nous restons conscients des défis et du travail qu'il reste à faire pour soutenir la lutte pour les droits fondamentaux des individus de la communauté. The CBA and my family is thankful for the work the Rainbow Railroad conducts and for today's important conversation to support this fight for basic rights for the 2SL LGBTQI plus community. I'm looking forward to the rest of the evening. Thank you, and merci, bonne soirée.
Yes? I'm here? Okay, great. Hi. So excited to be here. I'm Stacey Lee Kong. Am I
think
in
you're
the right?
Yeah, you're good.
There we go. Getting it wrong. I'm Stacey Lee Kong. I'm the editor-in-chief of 3 Magazine, which is a soon-to-be-published new magazine that is focused on immigrant experiences. So we're really trying to tell nuanced stories about the many ways that you can experience being an immigrant, being a third culture individual, whether you're diasporic, whether you're first, second, or beyond gen. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation because there's also a really important it's really important for us to be thinking about intersectionality. So not just racial experiences and the political experience of being an immigrant, but also how that intersects with other parts of our identities. So I'm going to have the rest of our panelists just introduce themselves quickly, and then we're going to have a bit of a chat. Yay. Thank you, everyone. I was trying to get on the chair gracefully. Thank you. Would you want to start?
Really challenging chairs.
Listen, we're having a hard time.
Hi, everyone. My name is Devon Matthews. I'm the head of programs at Rainbow Railroad, and I use the pronouns she or they. I've been with the organization since 2018, kind of leading a team of incredible people who do the overseas kind of component of our work, help to identify people at risk and support them in either finding safer options for themselves at home or relocating internationally where they can build a new life.
Hi everyone, I'm Latoya Nugent. I'm the head of engagement. I haven't been with the organization as long as Devon. I started last year, and my work is primarily with folks after they relocate. Thank you.
Thank you both for being here. Thank you everyone for joining us. So I wanted to start, Devon, with you. When we talk about Rainbow Railroad's work as helping LGBTQI+ people escape state-sponsored violence and find safety, what does safety mean in this context?
Yeah, it's a good question because in my perspective, safety is really personal and very specific to your prerogative, your lived experience, the intersections in which you exist. And so I think when we talk about safety, we have like a long-standing joke in the organization that it's actually like saferty instead of safety.
Yes.
That's just like, it really like is there truly a completely holistically safe place to be LGBTQI today in the world, especially as we see kind of the rise of the anti-gender movement and of the right in Canada and the United States and in Europe, places where we may have seen a significant amount of progress and improvements towards what we might term as safety has been on a bit of a downward spiral, not to be really negative after a really positive performance, but it's a really like negative place to be. And so we talk about this idea of safety, and I think there's a simple answer to this. I think safety includes things like the ability to find and like have self-determination, equity and lack of discrimination. Safety is legal and policy protection, access to equitable healthcare. These types of things are all aspects of safety, but frequently our clients have some components of safety and some components of a lack thereof, regardless of where in the world they're coming to us from.
Yeah. I think also, so it's not in the notes, but one of the things that I think is so important that you were saying is that the idea that you can be safer is important. But then also that it's important for us to not think of the West in particular as this beacon of safety, and it's like so much better that there's also work that has to continue being done here as well.
Yeah, and the West isn't a homogenized concept, right? Like what we're seeing in the United States right now, I'm so glad that you mentioned and what's going on right now. It's terrifying, and we're facing an election, we're facing a super election year in the U.S., and Canada, and around the world. And we're increasingly witnessing an erosion of rights and access. And I think that when we talk about safety, we can't homogenize this idea of like the global South and the global North, Western democracies, and like these like folks that are really like experiencing persecution in other countries. There's an othering to that, and I think the queer experience really is about like this liberatory politic that like exceeds boundaries and exceeds 100%. Borders. Yeah,
100%. Latoya, going over to you, can you define or explain what forced displacement is and why it is that queer and trans people are so vulnerable to forced displacement?
Yeah, so forced displacement occurs when people are involuntarily required to leave their homes. And forced displacement occurs usually because of war, violence, climate disaster, and particularly for LGBTQI plus people, it's usually because they are being persecuted, discriminated against. In many instances, this is state-sponsored persecution, which feeds the community discrimination that people experience, and that also contributes to the kind of rejection that many LGBTQI plus people experience because of their own family members. And so, you know, depending on which country you are, out of the over 60 countries that we've been talking about, the degree of persecution that you experience and the kinds of violence that you experience may vary. But what happens for many people is that it forces them to have to flee the place that they would have called home for a very long time. I mean, folks like me, for example, I'm at Rainbow Railroad now, living relatively comfortably here in Toronto, but I had to flee Jamaica because of that kind of state-sponsored violence and persecution. You know, there's a way that you're not allowed to live with dignity, to live with pride, or to even live in a country that recognizes your full humanity or gives you access to the same types of rights that other members of the society have access to. And so, you know, that is compounded by a lot of the geopolitical crises happening globally. And so LGBTQI plus people are uniquely affected also because the persecution that LGBTQI plus people experience is so personal to who they are. And oftentimes we live in countries where we're not allowed to affirm our identity, and we don't necessarily have a community of supportive folks around us. And you know, it creates a situation where you're just not able to live, thrive, or do well in your home country, recognizing that not everyone can flee. And so that's part of why, you know, we do so much of the work that we do in the countries that are criminalizing LGBTQI plus people, because everybody can't flee. And so we have to contribute to the work of grassroots organizations overseas, trying to change the culture, the attitude, the legislation in their home country so that we can reduce the number of people who are forced to flee home.
Yeah. What is it like to have to make that choice, though?
It's difficult. In the moment when you have to make the decision, it's very difficult. But having lived here for 18 months now, or maybe 19 months, I feel like I spent most of my life being cruel to myself because I really should have left a long time ago. Right. But I was a human rights defender back in Jamaica. And
you have like a responsibility.
Right, you know, it really comes with that kind of responsibility. When you're in it, you are almost a beacon of hope for the rest of the community and a source of inspiration, whether you want to own it or not. I didn't own it back then. I'm sure Devon knows this. And so a lot of the homophobic experiences that I would have had, I was closeted about them, right. You know, and I'm purposefully using that word closeted because you're doing the work and you are advocating for change. You're hoping that things will be different. You're hoping that the politicians will listen to you. You're hoping that all of the hard work you put into policy change and legislative change, that it will actually lead, you know, to the kind of Jamaica or the kind of country that you want to see. And so all of the other personal homophobic experiences that I would have had, you know, I stayed very quiet about them, not recognizing the impact it was having on my own well-being. And it really wasn't until after I relocated to Canada and saw that I could live in the queerness of my skin. I could be comfortable. I could affirm who I am. And I would have a community of people around me. And I could walk on the street without being harassed, you know. It wasn't really until all of that started to take shape that I realized that I really, really did a lot of harm to myself. And I'm not victim blaming when I say I did a lot of harm to myself. It's because I knew the society that I was living in, you know. I knew the government, regardless of the political party that was in power. I knew the attitudes of the people in the society. I knew what it was like to lose your job because of your sexual orientation and that sort of thing. But because you're doing the work and you really want to see change, you stay in it and you fight. You don't take care of yourself because you believe, you know, you're hopeful that there is another side of this. And on that side, you know, everybody will be able to live with the dignity that we all deserve. But the reality is it doesn't always work out. And sometimes you really have to leave the site of trauma if you really want to heal and to, you know, allow yourself to be able to live well. And I am living well. I'm happy I made the call. It was the best decision that I've ever made in my entire life. I have very negative feelings towards Jamaica now. I won't articulate them here. But, you know, and even though, you know, having relocated, and you talk to a lot of LGBTQI plus refugees, and they'll mention that there is struggle in relocating here because, you know, a lot of us are relocating alone. We don't necessarily have friends, family members when we relocate. And that's part of why I feel so strongly about Rainbow Railroad, because Rainbow Railroad has been my community, has been my Canadian family, you know, and a lot of the folks at the 519 as well, you know, that's where I find home and belonging. And that's really what you're looking for. When you have that, you walk through life differently, you know, proud and just happy to be and to exist and to be able to to be able to experience that every day. It really feels like a privilege, and it's something I hope I never take for granted.
Yeah, let's actually. So not a privilege, a right. A right.
Yes.
Not a privilege.
Yeah.
But that's an excellent segue, thank you, to talk a little bit about how the systems that are in place, and Devon, I'm hoping you can speak to this. So how does Canada's immigration system and immigration systems in general sort of fail forcibly displaced people, the most vulnerable people?
Yeah, I mean, I could write a very long book about this, and I'm really good at.
She's not joking.
I'm really good at complaining too and like critiquing systems, so I could go on and on, but I won't. I think I'd be like remiss not to say at the like highest level, the governments that we like, you know, are speaking about in the systemic level are also the governments that are responsible for often driving crises of displacement themselves. So through
an important note.
Yeah, through war, profiteering, you know, really dangerous international capitalist regime. Like there's a lot going on that contributes to the forcibly displaced crisis that we're in right now. And, you know, we heard a couple of numbers mentioned earlier around the 120 million individuals, which is the projection that we're supposed to hit before the end of this year. And, you know, as we see crises like what's happening in Palestine right now with 1.5 million right now forcibly displaced that are going on as a result of the genocide, like these crises just pile on top of each other. So I guess that's my highest level critique, is that this doesn't need to happen in the first place.
Yes.
And that people are being displaced, and queer people among them, because of these types of international policies. But I guess a level lower than that, LGBTQI people are among every population of the forcibly displaced, right? So it's a mistake just to think about the queer and trans community as fleeing from just LGBTQI-based persecution and violence. LGBTQI people are fleeing from climate disasters. They're fleeing from war. They're fleeing from, religious-based persecution. They're fleeing in all sorts of different ways and through many different pathways. And I think that the biggest thing that we see is that there's a lack of understanding of that, of the of the reality of the queer and trans experience being through the entire experience of the forcibly displaced, and then not understanding how unique needs actually translate into policy and action. And so what I mean when I say that is that, we've been since I started with the organization, and probably well before that, on like a very long battle with many governments, but especially the governments in the United States and Canada, to really demonstrate that the needs of LGBTQI forcibly displaced people are unique, and that there are very particular policies and supportive pathways that serve those unique needs, and that isn't like an exceptionalism or a line jumping or anything else. It's just like actually meeting people where they're at and finding the right procedures and pathways that meet those needs. And just to in case I'm being too theoretical, I think just to ground that in an example, we work with a lot of trans individuals who literally cannot leave their country of origin to flee into the protection of the refugee system because their gender presentation doesn't mark or doesn't match the gender markers on their identification documents. And sometimes also, often those same people know that they're going to be subject to really increased border violence, sometimes sex trafficking, sometimes forced outing, sometimes like return to family, those types of things. And so people are largely internally displaced and just fleeing and running through this process of trying to leave and not being able to. And what we've been trying to draw to the Canadian government's attention is that internally displaced persons need their own protection. They need their own systems of protection so that they don't have to be in limbo in the refugee system for ages, right? And so I think that's like a big thing we talk about all the time, is this need for like really robust IDP, internally displaced persons policies that address those issues and are queer sensitive. But we have had some wins. Like the Canadian government partnered with us last year on a really unique pathway. We're the first LGBTQI organization in the world to receive a direct referring partnership for government-assisted refugee status with any government, which is fantastic. It's a long-fought battle that we finally won, and this year, my team and I are working around the clock to refer as many LGBTQI people into that pathway as possible so they can build new lives in Canada. And so that was a huge win, and we're really grateful for that partnership with IRCC and to continue kind of finding new mechanisms to work with the Canadian government and hopefully the US government if they don't go a really scary way in the next election.
That was such a good way of putting that. But to build a little bit on, so this is that was a big policy success. I would love to hear a little bit about any stories that you can share of people that you were able to help. I think to your point about concrete examples, sometimes we need to know what is the story of a person to really understand the impact of the work that you do. So are there stories that both of you can think of and can share? I know, Devon's like, yes, of course, obviously.
You're gonna fight for it? You want
Go on.
You go first.
There's so many. Mm-hmm. I've had so many conversations with people who relocated even years ago, and some who relocated more recently. And the thing that jumps out at me every time I have that conversation is just how resilient LGBTQI plus people are, and how particularly resilient LGBTQI plus refugees are. Mm-hmm. I've had conversations with folks who were stuck in what we call transit countries. These are countries where people have to spend some time in order to get their asylum application process. Right. And they would have been living in, a transit country for over 25 years. Can you just imagine that?
Like in that state of limbo.
Right. We've also relocated folks who spent several years living in refugee camps before they're able to relocate. And the refugee camps, while they're established for refugees, within that space, there's a lot of homophobia and transphobia that people still have to navigate because there's a perception overseas in some of these refugee camps that LGBTQI plus people are not deserving of resettlement because they are not fleeing a war that the world is attuned to, and so there are those challenges that people have to experience. And so when you actually speak to folks after they've endured all of that, and they come to Canada or they go to the US or Spain or wherever they're able to relocate to, and they start to live full lives and they start to pursue their dreams, or they start to take on projects that they never imagined they could have taken on back in their home country. It really speaks to the tangible and transformative ways that the organization is able to show up for people, and to create that sense of home and belonging for folks. And so there's a lot to celebrate. And I wouldn't want to pick 1, 2, or 3, stories or journeys to share here today, but just, collectively, just recognizing just how much resilience there is within our community. And one of the things I probably want to mention, though, is that I've seen where a lot of people who were not activists or human rights defenders in their home countries, because of the journey they had, when they relocate to one of these safer countries, they become more actively involved, trying to support their LGBTQI plus friends back home, or even getting more actively involved in their new community. And for me, that's something that's really powerful, because there's a way that they're able to contribute to the sustainability of this work and the organizations that they often work with or volunteer with. And I perhaps talk a little bit too much sometimes about Rainbow Railroad and the work that it does. And some of it I know is because of the personal impact of this kind of effort. But it really is something to behold. I don't think, I've described it in other spaces as revolutionary, and some people may not see it as that, but it really is, just because of all of what people have to go through, live through, in order, to make it to places like Canada and the US and live well.
Well, and even it's so interesting to note, maybe we don't think of it as revolutionary, but think about the space that people now have to take up activism, to take up a hobby. I know those two very different examples, but the weight of being persecuted and then to be somewhere where you are safer and can put that down, at least to a certain extent, and then live a more full life is revolutionary.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you got?
I'm going to pick one.
All right.
I think it piggybacks on what Latoya was just talking about in terms of, that ability to kind of lean into your own, I guess, activism or your own voice in the process. So, one of our programs is called Emergency Travel Support. It's a particular program where we don't work with governments on the onset. We just say, we're going to hack the system with you. We're going to figure out how we can, just Tetris the gray zone of the legal, gray zone of the immigration system, and figure out a way to get you to a place where you can claim asylum, which is a human right, and make that claim on territory once you get there. Our director of ETS, Danton Beresford, is here, so if you want to chat with her after, she's a brilliant mind, and helps these people, really work through kind of this Tetris game. And we stress that it is a game of collaboration. It's a caseworker and an individual coming together and saying, and sometimes many caseworkers and many individuals coming together and problem solving someone out of a situation. And back many years ago, when I did this more frequently in my role, I supported a young Egyptian woman who had a young son, and she had been victim to a lot of intersecting forms of violence. She had been victim to a lot of domestic violence because her husband found out that she was lesbian through images on her phone and text messages that she'd been having with a friend who wasn't her friend, and had kind of to punish her, also harmed her child in the process. And she'd also been exposed to a significant amount of like just gender-based violence in relation to attempted conversion therapy practices around female genital mutilation, et cetera. So really, really hard experience that she had gone through. And when she reached out to me, I said to her, I was like, listen, like, you and I are in this together. I have no idea what we're gonna do to support you and your son, but we're gonna work on it and we're gonna figure it out. Yes. And that's the process of our emergency travel program, is really just trying to workshop things with people. And we sat together, we are on the phone, I was sitting separately, but we sat together and kind of like went through all these options. And eventually we came up with a plan that we'd never done before. It was a plan that like, I didn't know if it was gonna work. And I just called her one night and I said, I have this idea. I have a plan. Do you want to go for it? I totally get if you don't want to go for it. Like, this is risky. There's huge risks associated with this. I'm going to get you to cross multiple international borders. You're going to be with your child. Like, there's huge risk associated with this. And she was like 25 years old. And she said to me, she was like, I have no option. We're doing this. And I'm going to tell you everything that happens along the way so that you can help a bunch of people after me do the same thing. And we're going to figure it out. And then she told me off for being a pessimist. And she said, it's going to work. It's the only way. So I don't have an option to be a pessimist. We're going to figure this out. So we figured it out. It worked. She spent over 3 weeks in 3 different countries and finally landed in France, made an asylum claim with her child, and actually was able to work with her. She documented everything meticulously. She took pictures of every single part of the airport, every different connection that she like kind of went through and worked on, and she took notes for me. We had many calls, and then I actually went to France about a year after and checked in on how she was doing. And while I was at a conference, and you know, her son's in school, she's like super happy. She has a girlfriend. She lives in this beautiful apartment in Paris, and she's living her best life. Yeah, and that's not always the story. That's not always how it goes. We've also lost people in journeys. People have gone dark and we just never hear from them again. And we have lots of failures. We have people who are stuck in immigration detention in an airport because we can't figure out how to navigate their system. But for the cases where we're able to work with someone and collaborate, it's like the definition of queer solidarity. It's like one queer person with a hell of a lot more privilege, kind of holding hands across that WhatsApp chat with someone who has a lot less and trying to figure out how to make it work.
But also I love that she was an active part of every, like this process could not have happened without her. It wasn't like you parachuting in and just leveraging your privilege. It was actually using it to like give her a hand and lift her up as well.
Yeah, and I think like that is what the name Rainbow Railroad as a name comes from, like kind of this homage to the Underground Railroad. It's really about this idea that like queer people can really take control and agency over their own lives and bring together community from around the world and like find that through line. And really, we all know in some way, regardless of like our lived experience, we know that feeling of being othered. We know that feeling of being like this fight to kind of like be seen and be understood and understand ourselves. And no matter, I think, where you lie in the massive privilege spectrum, you can find that line with someone, and you can just like, as long as you humble yourself at it, you can dance that dance. Yeah, and have this like process happening with dignity and respect and empowerment. That's the goal. We don't always nail it, but we try. You know what? That's all we can do. So we're gonna pause for a second. If there are any audience questions, I'm pausing actually. You all can now say what you want to say.
No? I had a question. Oh. What happens when people come over here? Their support systems, or what kind of programs do you have in place?
Yeah, so depending on the pathway, Devon mentioned earlier that we have several pathways. So usually if someone relocates to what's called the private sponsorship of refugees program, they would have a core group of volunteer sponsors who work with them to provide those core resettlement services that they need, and they get that support for up to about 12 months. If someone relocates through this new pathway that we have with the government, which is the government-assisted, the government Assisted Refugees Program.
We
Sorry.
use the acronym
Yeah,
too much.
GAR. Yeah, I'm sorry. Then they're supported by, they're attached to a resettlement agency, and they receive support through that. Our ETS program, which is our Emergency Travel Support Program, doesn't come with the same degree of support as the private sponsorship program or the GAR program. And so we usually rely on organizations like the 519 and other organizations to provide that core set of resettlement service support that individuals need. And so that's actually one of the things that the organization is trying to work on. We want to build global communities of care in the countries where people are relocating to, because we recognize so many of them are relocating alone, especially, so that there will always be a community that folks can rely on after they relocate to help them, not to just navigate bureaucratic government systems or the resettlement system, but just to feel a sense of community, which can make an incredible difference in someone's life after they relocate.
First of all, I'm honored to be here tonight. The courage and resiliency that I've heard very clearly coming out of the stories that you're sharing is very touching to me. I am wondering, like, what, as me as like an individual, can do more to support your organization. Like, I have been on the website and seen ways to donate and also sponsor folks. So I'm just wondering if there's other ways that we can support, along with programming. Do you need volunteers for programming? I'm just curious to understand what I can do more of.
There's like so many practical ways that you can get involved for sure. But before I say those, I'll just like wax poetic for 5 seconds and say that I think we're in a really scary time right now. And in a moment that like we need you, we need every single person in this room. And we need it now, and we need it every day. And it looks like exactly what was said before, showing up and telling the people around you, especially the queer and trans people around you, that you love them. It looks like voting for and with the queer and trans community. It looks like donating to organizations that are fighting this fight, not just Rainbow Railroad, not just the 519, but like lots of small organizations that are fighting this fight on the front lines every single day, but also donate to Rainbow Railroad and the 519, because we need it too. And really just like living that pride in an everyday way. And I don't mean that flippantly. Like, I think there are times and panels in the past where I don't say that because I'm like, yeah, really, like, volunteer, da, da, da. And I think like in this moment, like your actions and the political moment we're in, like, mean everything. And everyone, like the queer community around the world, is watching what is happening, especially here. And if your hope is in Canada, or if your hope is in the United States and you are watching it deteriorate in front of your eyes, that feels like the last gasp for some of our clients. It feels like the last thing that they're holding on to, and that's a really scary reality. So not to be incredibly sad, but that is true, and we need you. So hopefully that's a rallying cry. Get out there, protest, donate, and yeah, we have lots of volunteer things we need you for. We need communities of care in the United States and in Canada. That looks like joining a settlement team for a private sponsorship program in Canada, or joining Welcome Corps communities in the US. If you know people in the US who want to get involved, Latoya is your person. And also I think, our Pride fundraising campaign is happening now, and doing as much as you can to like spread that and encourage people to leverage and join it.
Yeah, I want to say something about the Solidarity in Pride campaign. I mean, we wanted to donate like every day, all year round, but usually during this period, you're able to double the impact of your investment in our work. And so I'm encouraging you to check out our Solidarity in Pride campaign. I want to mention something else, to respond to your question about what you can do. We have a partnership with Refugee Housing Canada. I don't know how many people in this room are familiar with it. And what Refugee Housing Canada is trying to do is to expand or increase the access to affordable housing for refugees, including LGBTQI plus refugees. So if there's anyone here, you have a spare bedroom, or you're fortunate enough to have a second, third, or fourth, or fifth apartment that you could perhaps rent to LGBTQI plus refugees at below market rate. That's a way that folks can, get involved, because it's very difficult for individuals who recently relocate to actually access housing. I know housing is a challenge across the board, but LGBTQI plus refugees are disproportionately affected by homelessness. And so, if you can step in that way, it's something that I know that the community would appreciate.
I have two more practical things. If you speak Russian or any other language, like if you speak Russian, Arabic, Spanish, French, if you Turkish, we need folks that can provide translation for us. Translation is insanely expensive. We would love to not pay that money to a translation company. Please help us out with that. If you are a lawyer and you want to do lawyer things for us for free, that would be great. If you want to sit in our office and help us file paperwork that we have no time to, just reach out and we'll figure it out and help you figure out.
There's always a way. If
there's a will, there's a way. So if you feel like you have a special skill, if you have no special skills, we'd love your money.
That is your special skill.
Follow-up question. I'm asking because maybe somebody else in the audience also wants to know. I did see you could sponsor family, and I texted my mom during the panel saying we should, or not a family, a refugee, bring someone to our house. Do you only look for people within the city, or do you, like I live in the suburbs, am I an area that you would be looking to place somebody? I imagine maybe it's better to be in the city.
The suburbs are hard. Yes. The suburbs are hard for a few reasons, just like access to services, proximity to like community, and sometimes actually, depending on the program, it's actually a requirement for it to be in a particular catchment, because we're required by IRCC to keep like close tabs on people. But I don't know if there's particular opportunities.
I think especially for folks who relocate through ETS, it's possible for them to still access support and services outside of the GTA. And if you live, close to one of the TTC lines or the bus, we find a way, because housing is so important and so critical.
Depends how
to
rural
folks.
I get.
Right? Yeah, but the GTA is fine. The GTA is fine. So hop on board. You can email us community@rainbowrailroad.org or donations@rainbowrailroad.org. You'll get all the information that you need.
You will get a reply. I think we have time for one more question. Oh, yes.
A question about resistance. Are you getting resistance from these countries as you gain momentum, as you get bigger? And how can you combat that? Or do you have to go more clandestine as you grow?
We started super clandestine, and then we became a little bit less clandestine, and now we're probably going to have to be
a little bit more
back to the clandestine. I think it's a shifting target. Like, it's really odd to me, the psychology of some of the countries in which we evacuate folks from, because they really hate gay people and then they won't let them leave. Yeah. And I'm I'm not sure why, if you hate queer people so much, we'll take them. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. But then it's never that simple, right? So I think that, we're not loved by a significant number of governments around the world. We have, we navigate a lot of international diplomatic spaces, UN spaces. Our team members were just in Geneva, working on a massive international scale with refugee coordination around the world. We try to play in every possible setting and show up and try to work with governments as much as we can, but as you can imagine, it's not a lot of countries we work in don't want even the existence of LGBTQI people in their country to be acknowledged. And so the idea that there are people who not only exist, but look all sorts of different ways and do all sorts of different things and are fleeing, it's not a good look. So we're definitely not loved by some. And the countries that, nobody 100% loves us, we'll say that.
Yeah. Which means we're doing the right thing.
We're doing the right thing. I don't want to be loved by anyone.
Yeah. And we also, I think, have a very incredible skill with being able to work inside and outside government systems. I think that's one of the things that also make us very unique as an organization. And I think we're okay with not being loved by everyone as long as we get more people to safety.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Yes, again. So we're going to end on that note. My last question was, how can people help? But someone asked that already, so we're good. Thank you so much to Devon and Latoya for having this conversation with me. Thank you all for coming. Have a good evening and happy Pride.
All right, thank you.
Well, that was a great wrap, Stacey. Maybe I don't even need to.
Oh no,
follow.
go ahead.
No, that's great. I mean, I'll add to that and just say on behalf of the club, Devon and Latoya, thank you so much for sharing. And it's sad to say that the work you do is so important and maybe getting more important. And we are so proud and we admire the work that you're doing and support you. And we're have gratitude for the difference you're making to the lives you touch. So thank you so much. As was, I think, alluded to a second ago, there are postcards on your seats that you probably saw when you come in. So that lets you know how you can donate. And we've talked about many, many mechanisms you can use to donate online as well. I think there's information on the screen that you can use to donate, and we encourage you to do so. Stacey, thank you for moderating so effectively. Really enjoyed your way of helping us better understand the issues and drive the conversation, so thank you. Before we close, I'd like to thank one more time TD for sponsoring this event and EY for hosting us tonight as well. And lastly, our last event of the season is this Wednesday, where we host the CEO of Interact at our podium. So please visit our website, canadianclub.org, to find out more information. Thanks for being with us. I think we can still socialize for a little bit longer. We'll let you know when you need to leave, but until then, please make yourself at home. And thanks for being with us. Happy Pride. Bye now.